Hi there, and welcome to the Neckpour. This is the whiskey review channel where I give you my thoughts and opinions on a particular bottle of whiskey from the Neckpour all the way down to the dregs. You join me here today for the cheapest bottle we've ever featured on the channel, but one I'm still super excited about. This one is the Busker single pot still, and my first Irish whiskey on the channel as well. I picked this bottle up along with two others for the bargain price of £15 each. That's right, £45 for 3 bottles of single malt, single grain, and single pot still Irish whiskey at a pretty respectable 44.4%. Really looking forward to getting into these and seeing what we think. Although sadly, I do have to say, the deal that I got them on is long gone, I'm afraid. Before we get into today's video and get this bottle open, I would just like to say, please do hit the like button below if you're enjoying the content. Drop me a comment if you've got any thoughts about this particular bottle of whiskey, any of the others in the Busker range, or you've got any whiskies you'd like to see me review. And if you want to see some more, please do hit the subscribe and the notification bell so you're informed next time I post. It really does mean a lot to me. Now that's out of the way though, let's not waste any more time. Let's get this open and see what we think. These little plastic tops I always find a little bit humbling, but I've not done too bad of a job there actually. Hope it wasn't too loud. But yeah, let's pour ourselves a little dram and see what we think. Firstly, let's have a listen to the cork. Sounded pretty good. An artificial cork, but let's not hold that against the bottle at this price. Who might? Pour ourselves a nice little dram of that. Let's give that just a little second there. So, I mean, Irish whiskey is not something I know a huge amount about. I've tried a couple of the, super generic supermarket kind of bottlings, your Jamesons, your Bushmills, things like that. I've never really got into it any deeper than that, other than the odd few drams. I've had a couple of the Spots as a dram and a couple of Redbreasts. All pretty enjoyable, pretty light. But yeah, let's get into this, see what we think. So for those of you that don't know, single pot still, and the rules in Ireland, single, exactly the same as in Scotch, has to come from one distillery. Pot still has to be distilled on a pot still, as opposed to a column still. So again, very much like a single malt Scotch, but it has to have, to be a pot still whiskey, I believe 30% minimum malted barley and 30% minimum unmalted barley. So it's a bit of a hybrid between a grain whiskey, which can sort of have anything in it that is a grain, and a single malt whiskey, which can only have malted barley. And from what I've kind of read about it, the unmalted barley and the way that the mash, the wash, the beer is cooked gives it a bit more texture and body, but also a bit of that kind of grainy bite that it has, that slight aggressiveness. And as with pretty much all Irish whiskies, I believe this is triple distilled. So we're probably looking for a pretty smooth experience here. And yeah, again, it has to be a minimum of 3 years old. This is non-age stated, so we're not sure how old exactly it is, but probably reasonably young. And it states it's warm and spicy. And it's matured in bourbon and sherry, it actually says on the side there. And it is, I was correct, triple distilled. So first, let's have a little nose of this and see what we think. Super light on the nose. Virtually no alcohol to it whatsoever. Wouldn't have guessed that was over 40% on the nose. Very soft. There's a little hint of sherry there. A tiny little bit of kind of spices. A little hint of, I'd say it's very floral on the nose. That's like smelling a bunch of, freshly cut really ripe. I don't know if that's the right word for flowers, but flowers that are really in bloom. And then there's a hint of a, not sure if it's maybe even a stone fruit, maybe like an apricot there, but a fresh apricot, not a dried one. Overall, it's pretty nice on the nose. Not super complex, but hey, 15 quid. Let's give it a little taste and see what we think. Lots of spice on the palate. Not in a bad way, but maybe even a kind of a star anise, a nutmeg, something like that. Lovely kind of sherried sweetness. And then a kind of really nice vanilla cooked fruit finish. So that all kind of on the front of the palate. But really pleasant. Again, it's not super complicated. It's fairly straightforward, fairly up and down. But again, at the price point, what are you going to get that's going to equal that? You know, that's really enjoyable. But it's so soft. It's smooth isn't the right word, but soft is the right word, I think. It's gentle on the palate. There's nothing aggressive at all. It's really, you know, kind to you, to your mouth. You know, there's no astringency. It's not drawing, you know, moisture out. It's not, there's no harsh alcoholic vibes. There's no big smoky notes to it. There's just a lovely medley of a little bit of spices, a little bit of fruits, but on the palate, it's much more cooked, is the fruit, rather than raw, which it is on the nose. I apologise. Kat's decided to make herself known to the video there. And yeah, then there's a lovely kind of vanilla there. And then on the finish, it's warming. It's kind of coating the mouth. Again, you're going through those vanillins, you're going through caramel, and you're going through, again, a lovely, you know, stewed fruit pudding, something like that on the finish. But overall, and at the price point, that's an absolute cracker. I'm really excited by that. I'm also really excited to try the single malt that I've got. I'm also really excited to try the single grain because, and then do a three-way bottle battle to see which one's a supreme champion. Because, yeah, the three different styles really interest me here because it's not something I know that much about. Most of what I drink is Scotch with some English mixed in there. And as a result, you know, most distilleries make one or two or three kind of lines, but they're all typically single malts. So, you know, getting into the grain, getting into the pot still, getting into the malt and seeing how they differentiate whilst largely being made from the same ingredients to begin with, I think it's going to really interest me. The only thing I think is a shame about this one is the fact that it's below 46% means it's probably chill filtered. Couldn't find any information about that online. And again, because it doesn't say otherwise, I think it's safe to assume that this has been coloured as well, which I think is a bit of a shame because it's a lovely, lovely drink, you know. Not complex, but a really good sipper. I think this would be a beautiful summer whiskey. And I'd be really interested to actually try this over ice on a hot day because I think this could be really enjoyable over ice. I know some people say it's sacrilege, but on a hot day, if you want something to cool you down, it's your whiskey, drink it how you want. But no, I'm not going to add any water to this because it's already so soft, it doesn't need it. I think if anything, the water is going to make it harsher, and I'm not sure it's going to bring anything out. Maybe by the time we get back to do the dregs for this bottle, maybe I will have tried it that way. and I'll have more thoughts. But yeah, I think other than that, apart from me rattling on about quality or getting deep into minimum alcohol unit pricing and how much things should cost, I don't want to get too political on you. So I think we'll call this one there and wrap that up. I would just like to say, if you have enjoyed today's video, please do hit the like button. Leave me a comment if you've got any thoughts on this particular bottle, this review, anything you'd like to see me review. And please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be informed next time I post. It really does mean a lot to me. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining me today for the Neckpour. And I'll see you again for another episode of the Neckpour, the Dregs, the Bottle Battle, or just my thoughts and opinions on whiskey. But until the next time, I'd like to say cheers, Salancha, and I'll see you again.